Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to another interesting tutorial with respect to errors. This is your instructor Raza, and today I'm going to tell you about how can you resolve the commonly occurring or caused errors. Okay, so you people are following me with respect to different projects, so you are facing some problems and I am receiving the queries from different students that how can I solve this error, how can I solve that error, and so I decided to create a separate lecture with respect to error handling. Okay, so let me first tell you what is an error and how we can resolve these errors and what are the type of errors we have. So let's start. The first thing we have to know that what are the type of the errors. We all know the basic definition of the error. An error is an anomaly or anything that is not going to be normal. Okay, so to resolve these errors we have two type of errors basically. The first error is a syntactical error and the second error is the logical error. Okay, so a syntactical error is an error that occurs when you do some typing mistake, or when you skip something, or when you have some case sensitive mistakes. Let's say you have written something that should not be written in that way and you have written in some other way. So that's what the problem. So when you encounter a syntactical error, you can notice in Visual Studio that particular line or that particular line of code is highlighted with a red line. Okay, so that is representing that you have done a syntactical error and you can resolve it directly, and it can be cached without running the program. So this is known as a syntactical error, and it is easier to resolve rather than the logical errors. So the next type of error we have is the logical error, right? So what are the logical errors? Basically these type of errors are not detected before the software compilation. Okay, they are hidden and they come in our software when we execute our application at runtime. Okay, so on runtime we tackle different type of errors, and most of the students are facing problem with respect to these logical errors every time. Okay, so I'm going to tell you some of the errors that are very common in nature and that they occur more frequently in the project. Most of the time what the mistakes that we have done are the logical errors basically. Okay, so let's go and see the common errors that we have. The first error that I'm going to demonstrate here is this one. You might have encountered this message or this exception while running your program. Why this error appears? Because when you enter an incorrect data, when you entered an incorrect data, this message will appear. Input string is not in the correct format. That means your data that you have provided is not in a correct format. That means if a function is asking you to provide an integer and you are passing a textual data in it, then this error will appear. Okay, so how to resolve this error? Let me show you some solutions. So the first solution that you can check is the data type of both ends. If you are picking up data from somewhere and you are storing that data somewhere, so at both ends the data type remains the same. Please check that. Okay, so you can be able to resolve this error from this, and you can convert the appropriate data type with respect to the data type that is desired, and then you can check the destination and source data types as well, so that this error should be removed. So let me demonstrate this error practically in Visual Studio in a Windows Form application, and this error can be occurred in a Windows Form application or a web application or an MVC application. Wherever you use .NET framework and C# and any other .NET compatible language, you can get this error if you do some invalid inputs. Okay, so let me show you how this error will occur and how to resolve. Let's start in Visual Studio. Alright guys, so let's have a look at an example I have created for you people, that I have picked up two text boxes and a button and along with some labels. So I wanted to calculate the sum of two numbers, and for that purpose I'm going on my button click, and here I am writing some code. Let's say integer x equals to convert dot to integer 32, because I have the text box, and now my text box, first text box is num1 text dot text. So I have picked up the data from my text box and converted it to integer 32 and then stored inside integer. So most of the students, when are creating projects and when following tutorials, they do not listen carefully and they just copy the code, and that's why the problem come into the context. So you have to be careful that from where you are picking the data, you are picking the data, let's say from text box, so the data from the text box is in string format, so you have to convert it into an integer. Okay, if you do not convert it into an integer, then it will not accept. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, so now, but the problem still exists. There is no syntactical error right now, but it can be converted into a logical error if you pass your num1 text with a string. Let's say if you pass ABC, then what will happen? Let me show you after completing this code. So copy it and then paste it again, and write here num2 text, that's my text box number 2, and then finally the result with another variable, that is y, and then integer z equals to x plus y, a simple addition code. And then I wanted to display the result inside this label, so the label is label 4, so right here label 4. Now look, label 4 is in a string and you have your result in an integer. Okay, so you can't write this like, okay, because look, the red line is appearing, that is a syntactical error. If I zoom it, if you see, that's my syntactical error. And when I put my mouse here, so what it's saying, it cannot convert an integer into a string. Okay, so read the messages carefully. Then if you wish to display still, so you have to write here two strings so that it can be converted into two string format. Okay, so a string, and it is asking you the string, so destination and the source remains the same, the data type should remains the same. Now that was the thing. Now let's start this project. Alright, so if I write here 3 and if I write here 3 and click add, look, the result is there. But what happened, errors occurred due to the incorrect data entry or the human fault. Okay, so if I write here mistakenly a, and then if I press add, then look what will happen. An error will raise inside my application and it will tell me that you have input string not in a correct format. That's what I am trying to say, because integer is a is not convertible into an integer. I hope it is understood to everyone. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say. You have to convert and you have to pass correct data entry inside your software, and then you can convert it into appropriate data type so that this error will not appear. I hope you have understood this. Now let's go to the next error that I'm going to demonstrate today. So now let's talk about error number 2. The next error that we encounter is object reference not set to an instance of an object. What does this mean? This means that you have passed some null values to your desired locations. If you are storing some data and that data is null, so then this error will be occurred inside Visual Studio. So what are the solutions for this error? Always make sure that you have the value, every value is passing to the desired method or control, nothing is left null or nullable. Always check for the null values and do necessary steps to remove the null values, and this error will only be removed when the parameter or null value is not null. It can only be removed when you skip or when you omit the null values from your passing data or the code. Okay, so let me demonstrate this error also inside Visual Studio practically. So let's go to the Visual Studio. So guys, taking in consider this particular example again, and when I start it and when I click add, what will happen? Let's see. Look, it's still saying input string is not in the correct format, but if I remove this conversion, let me make it like this. Okay, and now it's fine. And now let's check it like string s equals to, now it's fine. Okay, and then start. So look, because I have the addition problem here, so comment it, now it's fine, and comment it also, now it's fine. So you have the text in string format first, and then comment it also, because you need some blank values. So let's start and check what will happen when you press the add button after this. So press add button, look, nothing is happening because I have commented the code. Now the software is working perfectly. Now what I will do, I will pass some null values. Okay, so remove this code and write integer question mark x equals to convert dot to integer 32. Let's say if the situation is something like this, you have created a nullable variable and I am passing here a text box num1 text dot text. Okay, so what will happen, if you pass the text, then it will be converted, the number, then it will be converted into integer and then stored inside x. Okay, so what I wanted to do, I'm not going to add now, I'm just display that number. Okay, that's it. So let's see what will happen. So because it's integer, so you can convert into to string and then start, and let's see what will happen. So if I press add now, look, it's still saying input string is not in a correct format because it is not accepting null. So what I can do, I can raise that error by passing it to some other value. Okay, so the null is not passing because of the conversion of the data. So what I can do, I can pick up a, let's say, combo box. I'm intentionally creating the errors, so hopefully you are understanding what I'm doing. So let's say that's my combo box. Okay, and now when I click here and write some code, let's say integer x equals to convert dot to integer 32, and if I pick up some value from the combo box, so combo box 1 dot selected value, that is not available, I know, and then that's it. So let's see what will happen. Start the program and click add button, and look, the program halts and no exception is raised when I click this. Okay, so unfortunately this error is not appearing intentionally. Let me check. Okay, we'll try for one more time. Let's say I wanted to plus 4 inside this selected value and then store it in x. Let's check, is it giving me the null error or not? No, it's still not giving me the null value. Let me debug it and start the project, click again. Okay, so I'm inside, so selected value is null, so F11, so it's accepting. So how can I convert it to null? Alright guys, so I have checked so many times, this particular example is not appropriate for that type of error. So let me enhance the situation with another control, that is my data grid. Okay, containers, sorry, data, and select your data grid view. Let's say you have some data inside this grid view with some columns, so let me add some columns. Name GV, and the display name should be name. Okay, and then close and then click OK. So you have one column name. So what I can do, I can remove, I am removing these all and writing here enter name. Okay, and then let me add a button, and when you write here add and then rename it to add button. Okay, now what you wanted to do, when you press the add button, the data in the text box should go inside the data grid view. So data grid view 1 dot rows dot add, and here you have to add the particular data, that is your text box. So text box, what is the text box? num1 text, yes, num1 text dot text. So let's see what will happen when we run this code and remove this thing and remove, okay, let me zoom it out, remove this also and remove this click event also, because I have removed that button. Now let's run this program and check what is happening. Start, and when I click add, a blank row is adding. Okay, and now if I wish to get back my data, then we'll see that error is appearing or not. So go to its click event, click cell click, and right here num1 text dot text is equals to create an object of data grid view raw row equals to data grid view 1 dot rows, and select your current row e dot row index. Okay, and then your current row will be picked up, and inside this text box you can write raw dot cells of, and you have to specify the column name. So the column name, let's say the column name is what I have specified here, the name GV. Okay, so that's my name GV, and then enclose in double quotes and then dot value. Okay, so let's check what's the result. Okay, it is saying that to convert it into toString, so convert it into toString. Okay, so let us check what's the result. So right now I haven't added any data and I have successfully come with this error that I wanted to show you, that object reference not set to an instance of an object. That means you have left it blank and you have to put some data here so that it can be passed to the destination text box or the control that you are taking. Okay, so that's what I am trying to say. I hope you have understood this. So what's the resolution of this error? This error can be resolved simply when you have data inside your grid view. Let me show you once more time. So if I click here, if I give here data add, when I click this data, look, nothing, no error is appearing because the data is passed, simple. But if I click downwards, then that error will again because that row is blank, that is null. So when you pass some null values, this error will appear. So always check for this the null values when you see this error inside your software. Okay, now let's go to the last error that I wanna share with you, that occurs most frequently when you are developing the software. Let's go to the presentation. Alright, so the error number 3 that most of the students encounter is this one. When you connect to your SQL server, so unfortunately you found this message that a network related instance is not specific and all that. So how can you resolve this error? This error means that your SQL server services are not in running mode. So how can you start your services? Let me show you, and then this error will be resolved. So let's go first see the solutions that we have. You just have to turn on the SQL server services. So let's go and check how to turn on the services. Alright, so first of all I'm going to enter here services.msc so that I can intentionally create this error, services.msc. You can write here in run and then you can specify its services, SQL server services, directly from that services.msc window. Alright, that's my services.msc window. Type here SQL and you can see the service is running by default. In Windows 10 there is a common bug. If you notice, whenever you shut down your PC and you restart your PC, this SQL server service will go to the stop mode. Okay, and then you have to restart it again and again. So what you can do, you can go to the startup type and select automatic delayed if you are using Windows 10. Okay, so that is the problem that you can tackle. Okay, so whenever you find that error, just come here and start this service. Okay, and then connect your SQL, it will definitely start. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, then let's continue. So that's all for today. I think these 3 errors are most common errors, so that I have discussed with you people. So I will return back with some more errors that are commonly appearing within the project development and the website development or the software development, whatever the case. So hopefully you have understood everything. If you do not understand anything, please do write me. Thank you so much. Take care. Allah Hafiz.